Hi, my name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love, as this will be seen on both channels. Which, by the way, I highly recommend you be subscribed to both channels. Um, right now, everything's being uploaded to both. But anytime, at any time, I could go live on one or the other of those channels, and you wouldn't be notified if you weren't subscribed to both. And so, if you want to catch me live, I highly recommend that. This is the 50th of the RZN Codex series, The End of Psychological Fragmentation by Jason Gray. And this one, the original transmission date was 12/19/2025. RZN-ARC-PSY .01 // integration and coherence layer. Fragmentation was not a flaw, it was a defense. Human minds did not fracture because they were weak. They fractured because the environment demanded it. The overlay required people to feel one thing and display another, believe one thing and obey another, desire one thing and suppress another, remember one thing and deny another, be one person at home and another everywhere else. Fragmentation was the only way to survive contradiction without collapse. The mind did what it had to do. How the overlay taught people to split. Fragmentation was engineered through chronic misalignment, reward systems that punished authenticity, social norms that rewarded performance, institutions that separated identity from truth, economic pressure that split values from action, trauma without space for integration, speed without reflection, and noise without meaning. The self divided into roles: the one who complies, the one who dreams, the one who protects, the one who endures, the one who hides, and the one who performs. None were false. They were incomplete. Why psychological unity was impossible before. Wholeness requires safety. That's true, by the way. I know this to be a true statement here. The overlay never provided it. Without safety, the nervous system stays vigilant. Emotions cannot integrate. Memory fragments. Identity hardens into masks, and presence collapses into management. Trying to, quote, be whole in a hostile field was not enlightenment. It was self-erasure. This is why forced positivity, premature forgiveness, and identity bypassing caused further damage. Integration cannot be demanded. It must be allowed. What changes after the return? The returned world restores the conditions that make wholeness natural. Emotional expression is safe. Truth is not punished. Pacing is humane. Relationships are stabilizing. Memory can surface without consequence, and identity can evolve without threat. Under these conditions, fragmentation loses its function. Parts no longer need to protect the self from itself. They begin to rejoin. Integration is not merging, it is cooperation. The end of fragmentation does not mean becoming, quote, one note. It means becoming one orchestra. Each part retains its function. The protector becomes discernment. The performer becomes expression. The dreamer becomes vision. The survivor becomes resilience. And the child becomes curiosity. No part is exiled. No part is erased. They simply stop competing. How integration actually occurs. Integration follows a predictable sequence. Recognition parts are noticed without judgment. Permission parts are allowed to exist. Listening, their information is received. Contextualization, their role is understood. Reassignment, their function updates. Alignment, parts coordinate instead of collide. This happens gradually, quietly, and without spectacle. People do not, quote, become new. They become undivided. The end of pathologizing the human mind. Much of what was labeled, quote, disorder was context-induced fragmentation. In the returned world, distress is not immediately medicalized. Difference is not immediately diagnosed. Intensity is not automatically suppressed, and variance is not treated as pathology. Support replaces control. Care replaces correction. Medicine returns to stabilization, not normalization. Relationships after fragmentation. Fragmented people related through projection. Whole people relate through presence. After integration, communication simplifies. Reactivity decreases, boundaries clarify, intimacy stabilizes, and manipulation loses leverage. People no longer seek others to complete missing parts. They connect to share, not to compensate. Children and the prevention of fragmentation. Children in the returned world are not taught to split. They are allowed to feel fully, ask freely, change openly, disagree safely, and grow without role fixation. This prevents the formation of protective fractures. Children grow into complexity without dividing themselves. The final consequence of integration. When psychological fragmentation ends, identity stabilizes, anxiety collapses, inner conflict quiets, clarity becomes default, creativity increases, compassion deepens, and presence strengthens. The mind stops fighting itself. When the mind stops fighting itself, the world stops needing to fight it. You were never broken. You were divided by an environment that could not tolerate wholeness. The returned world does not fix the human psyche. It removes the conditions that fractured it, and once those conditions dissolve, the mind does what it always wanted to do: become whole. Jason Gray. Wow. Whenever you feel into your own childhood, surely you can see, sense, and feel, I know I can, that the fragmentation that happens. I don't remember, earliest moments of arrival here, but the things that I can remember are pretty fragmented. The differing things that I was always told that I'm not, that you can't possibly know this, all those kinds of things, you're too much, all the things that cause you to become something other than what you were. I'd love to hear from others. Have you felt into that for yourself? Put something in the comments or reach out to me at consciousconversationcentral@gmail.com. Do you notice your own programming and conditioning that you received as a child? And that we've done to each other, even as adults? I'd love to hear from you. consciousconversationcentral@gmail.com. Until we meet again, my friends, be well.